Dr. Pascucci is not here. Mr. Santana?
Here.
Ms. Weber?
Here.
Mayor Bontempo?
Here.
Mayor, you have a quorum.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for a moment of silence. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence on our troops both home and abroad to protect us and work tirelessly each and every day. Thank you. First item on the agenda is approval of minutes.
No, we don't have anything on there today.
No? No agenda, okay. So, for this year, we're starting a new format. If you were at the, our meeting on the 2nd, there's a motion made for public comment before agenda items are heard. So what we're going to do right now is, before we, the Township Committee votes on the consent agenda items, if anybody from the public would like to come up and have any questions or make any comments on agenda items only that are on today's agenda, you come up to the microphone and address them to me. If I can answer, I will. If not, I will direct the proper employee professional to answer your questions. So for agenda items only, so anybody who has any questions or comments on today's agenda item only. Seeing none, I'll close the public agenda items portion and roll right into consent agenda. We have on today's consent agenda resolutions 2020-45 to 2020-63. Do we have any discussion from the Township Committee?
I'd like to.
Turn your mic on.
You have to hold it. Keep holding it, yeah.
Yeah. So bills payable, O'Donnell McCord, which is
Hold your mic.
is it on 2026, 2020-46, I guess?
Let me just pull that out real quick.
Okay, so Committeeman Santana, you're requesting to have 2020-46 pulled from the consent agenda?
If that's where it is, I'm trying to look where it is. I don't know if it's 45 or 46, I'm trying to look. Just give me 1 second. I'm new to this job.
This iPad sticks and getting used to it,
Yes,
too.
they do.
I have page 5, line item 19-03687.
Yeah, O'Donnell McCord.
Yep.
Yeah. So I'd like to pull that. As you all know, that O'Donnell McCord was in the news about overcharging different townships over several years. So I'd like to request that we evaluate it before agreeing to pay this.
So we'll remove this line item from the approval of the agenda items and remove it. Wendy, is that okay? And we'll deal with that separately, and then we'll take action on that after the vote, Attorney?
Mr. Mayor, I would recommend, given that there seems to be a lack of clarity over which bills payable the line item is on, if you would like, you could offer a motion to approve the consent agenda with that caveat, and that would address that specific issue without us having this discrepancy resolved up here.
Just note the bill and the amount.
So you want to make a motion for that?
Yeah. Motion to make.
To approve it.
Motion to approve the consent agenda with this caveat.
Yep. Motion to approve the consent agenda with the caveat that we pull this bill number.
Just the.
I don't have the number, but O'Donnell
It's the bill
McCord
for
for
O'Donnell.
$9,335.
Okay. I'll second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Catali?
Yes.
Mr. Santana?
Yes.
Ms. Weber?
Yes.
Mayor Bontempo?
Yes. Thank you. So next on the agenda is a mayoral appointment, appointment of Karen Strickland to the Homedale Environmental Commission, filling a current open position on the committee. Have a motion?
No action required,
Motion,
Mayor.
sir.
That'll be by your own signing of the pen.
Number 10, introduction of ordinance. Wendy?
The introduction of ordinance 2020-01 is an ordinance directing video recording and live streaming of township committee meetings. Motion to adopt on first reading, publish in the Asbury Park Press, and set public hearing for Tuesday, January 28, 2020.
Move.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Catali?
Yes.
Mr. Santana?
Yes.
Ms. Weber?
Yes.
Mayor Bontempo?
Yes.
Ordinance 2020-01 has passed.
Perfect.
Been introduced.
Sorry, been introduced.
Introduced. So we'll go through department updates. Administrator, any updates?
I have no additional report. I just did want to mention that per the previous meeting's request, we do have the very draft proposal for the firehouse online, as well as the specs for the fire truck, which has been ordered.
Thank you. Chief Financial Officer, any updates for us tonight?
The only thing I have to say is we rolled over 2019, and we're into 2020 at this point.
Okay. Good. Thank you. Attorney?
Good evening, Mayor. I don't have any specific report, but I'm available if there are any questions from the committee.
Thank you. And our newly appointed engineer, Ben, any updates from you?
No report today, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. I'll go with boards and committees, start to my far left. Committeeman Critelli?
Thank you, Mayor. Just a quick update on some recreation activities. December 30th was our recreation department, which hosted the annual Senior New Year's Eve party at the Senior Center. Approximately 100 senior citizens had attended. There was a hot lunch, buffet, and music, which everyone seemed to enjoy. Phillips Park, we finally secured the last permit for the turf improvements up there to the baseball fields. The contractor has been notified, the material's been ordered, and they expect to start construction the second week of February, weather permitting, and it's about a 6-week construction project. Cross Farms Park, fencing has been removed down there. Concrete work starts next week, and all new fencing should be installed, weather permitting, within the next 3 or 4 weeks. And 2 upcoming events. The Daddy-Daughter Dance is scheduled for Saturday, February 22nd at 5 p.m. And the Mother-Son Dance is the following day, Sunday, February 23rd at 4 p.m. More information can be found on the Recreation website. Thank you.
Thank you, Committeeman. Committeeman Prakash, any updates?
Yes, so we're working on a draft for the Financial Advisory Committee. I've submitted the draft to Mike Collins, attorney and township administrator. So hopefully we'll resolve it. We'll be able to announce it next township meeting on the 28th. We plan to have a Finance Advisory Committee to help the township, and that's it.
Okay. So draft for approval will go hopefully on our next agenda, Committeeman?
Yeah, that's right.
Good.
Yep, I'm in receipt of that, and I'll be working with the committeemen to address any legal concerns. The administrator will provide some input and consultation with the CFO, and we'll bring a draft back to the committee for your consideration at the next meeting.
Excellent.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Weber, any updates from your boards or committees?
Yes, please. The planning board had their organization meeting last Tuesday, and all went well. They're going to, at their upcoming meeting next Tuesday, interview 3 engineers for planning board engineer from the firms of T&M, CME, and Mazer. On the Board of Ed liaison front, I'm pleased to report that the Board of Education is going to be working with the Township Police Department for a program called LEAD, Law Enforcement Against Drugs. This will be presented by our Student Resource Officer, John Martin, to the 6th grade students in the coming weeks. And I have reached out to the Board of Ed President, and we will be meeting further on ways to collaborate and work together. And I would also just like to say a thank you to the recreation staff and all those involved in the installation. It was my first time, and really well done and well received. And last but not least, I want to note that I've presented a draft of an ordinance for instituting a traffic and bike safety committee. This is committees that we used to have back in the day, and that we've heard a lot of interest and concern about. Specifically, this committee would be focused on things the township can do proactively to improve and encourage pedestrian and bike safety. This is not about directing the police force what to do, but more about looking creatively at things that we can do, from bike lanes to signage to education, to make our town a more walkable, bikeable, livable town. So again, that's in draft form, sent to the attorney, and we hope to have that for the next meeting.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. So I have a couple quick updates. If you've noticed on the way in the town hall this evening, there was a red, white, and blue mailbox that was painted. It put out by the township for the turning in of American flags. So flags that are torn, destroyed, they can be turned in, and they will be handled accordingly and properly for their disposal. Second thing, which has a lot of people's attention, is regarding the New Jersey Natural Gas. There will be a public comment section with the judge coming in. So people that were involved in probably 2017, right? 2017, we had a similar type of meeting set up. It'll be at the Senior Center. The judge will be here, and the judge will take comments from our attorney representing the town will be there. Elected officials, our local officials can speak, as well as any county and state showing their concern with this project. And then anybody from the public is welcome to attend. If anybody was involved with the Monmouth County Reliability Project, when the power lines, J.C. panel was trying to put in, we had a tremendous turnout when we had two hearings. One was at Middletown High School, the other one was at Brookdale Community College. It really had an impact, I believe, on the judge when they saw the amount of people come out. So I am encouraging you to come out and contact your friends and neighbors and have them come out too. I think the better turnout we have, the more the judge will see that we are completely against this project, and we're going to do everything in our power to stop it. Hence why the Township Committee has embarked on legal pursuit to everything that we can do to stop this project from happening in our town. That is all the updates I have, so I will turn it over to the public comment portion. When you come up to the microphone, you have up to 3 minutes. The clerk will keep the timer for us. Please state your name and address for the record before you start your comments. Anybody for the public comment? Could be on anything we covered today or anything that's on your mind. Yes, sir. In the front.
Tom Potts, 6 Alaka Drive, Homedale. I'm here because I read in the paper about the firehouse. What do you people know about what's going on with it? What is the plan from you people about the firehouse? How's it going to work? We're talking about we have a station over at Centerville Road. We supposedly have one here. Hasn't been in operation for what I find out is years. But this was the centralized firehouse. And then it isn't no more. It's nothing. It's a warehouse. Then when they bought the substation over at Centerville, which was only supposed to be for the north side of town, because we also had a firehouse at 520. Now, if you build a firehouse, Is there gonna be firemen at all 3 firehouses? What's the plan? We hear about you gonna build a firehouse, but what is the plan once if the firehouse is built? What's happening? What's gonna be in Centerville? What's gonna be in the new one? What's gonna be wherever? What is the plan? You people make the decision, so tell me what's the plan.
So finish your question and comments, and then you can sit down and then we can address them. Is that okay? Sharon, you want to start?
I think through you, Mayor, we are in the process of developing the plan. Just to be clear, the firehouse here on Crawford's Corner Road is an active firehouse. We do have equipment there, and it is an active firehouse. We haven't finalized the plan. We're working very closely with the fire department, internally with our staff and with the township committee. And we anticipate in the next couple of meetings to have a presentation for the public to consider and do exactly what you're asking, outline that plan. When we are ready to present that to the public, we will make sure that it is publicized and that there is plenty of time and opportunity for the public to give us feedback. But we'll have a lot of those answers as we work through things now.
Okay.
Thank you. Anybody else for public comment? Comments, questions? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Peter Gafani. I live at 18 Exeter, right here in the Reserve, and thank you for bringing up the issue of the firehouse. Myself and my neighbors were here representing. They understand that you haven't finalized the plan yet. You're going to be revealing at a later date the location, I guess, of this new firehouse. And I just wanted to put on the record our objection to a firehouse being built near the Reserve, where there's 40 homeowners, and there's also those of the Regency that I would assume object. But I guess, when will you be notifying the public once the plan, how will you be notifying the public that the plan has been finalized?
Again, through you, Mayor, we will publish it on the website. It will be part of the agenda. We will actually make it very clear that there's a specific discussion on the firehouse. There has been discussion of possibly putting a firehouse on the F&F property. We have, I've heard some feedback that there are some concerns on that. That is something that we're going to look at. That will be something that will be presented to the Township Committee as a decision to make, and public feedback on whichever location we choose to build there will be an opportunity for that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and our goal for 2020 is to have our agenda published by Friday before our Tuesday meeting. So we want to give the public ample time to be able to see the agenda, see what's on the agenda, and also be able to hear what we're talking about. The ordinance we introduced tonight was to do live video streaming of our meetings. So let's say you are traveling and you are interested in hearing what we're talking about for whatever meeting the Township Committee is holding, we'll be able to log onto our website, click on and see the Township Committee live from whether you're in your home or wherever you are having access to the internet. So we are trying to make it so everybody in the community has access to everything going on, and I believe there's a consensus from the Township Committee that we are going to discuss everything with the firehouse location, the fire department publicly, and have our experts and professionals here presenting the various plans, alternatives, what the pros and cons of each one is or are, before we make any decision on what we're going to do moving forward.
Mayor?
Yes.
If I could just add to the comments that we made. There are a lot more than just 40 folks that are impacted by that location. We've been notified by residents of other developments in the area, so we're very sensitive to the fact that the F&F property may not be the ideal location. I happened to go over there over the holidays myself, and I didn't realize how close the brook was. It actually borders that property, and that's an issue for me. And I also looked at the Crawford's Corner location a little closer. So when we discuss locations, I'll be advocating for something maybe other than F&F, if possible. So, and to the mayor's point, we will have plenty of discussion about this in the future. We'll not be rushed through. Thank you.
And I welcome any thoughts or ideas. If anybody has them, you can email me. My email is on the website. We will look at any thoughts or ideas that any residents have on other locations.
And that's a good point, because you don't have to wait for this meeting to share information. The best focal point is our administrator, because she will share information with the rest of the Township Committee, so we all hear what the public has. Any ideas? I'm trying to look at it from a clean slate, like what is the best for the town for fire protection, right? Because ultimately, we're responsible for the safety of our residents. So anything you want to share, you don't have to wait for this meeting to come and talk to us. You can email it, call her, whatever you need. We're keeping the communication open. So you don't wait for the meeting and wait for the 20th next meeting to share anything. If you have an idea tomorrow, email it to our administrator and she will share with us.
Mr. Mayor? Just one other thing on that point of communication that I just want to clarify, because I've heard different people question the firehouse on Route 520. I had some people say, well, why don't we just use that? And I want to make it clear that we do not own that firehouse. We never owned that firehouse. That firehouse was sold to a private entity and is no longer operating or available as a firehouse.
That's correct. Let me get other people, sir, before I go. Yes, ma'am, in the back.
Good evening, everyone. Teresa Brock, 2 Falcons Ridge Circle in Homedale. And I also would like to throw on my record my opposition to putting the firehouse on F&F, especially that parcel of property we're discussing, because it's an environmentally sensitive piece of land. Any building there, if you notice that the whole land slopes down into the Ramanescent Greenway, which goes directly into our drinking water. And it was stated in the meeting previously by Mr. Pascucci that it's a 6 or 7 acre parcel of land, but only about 3 acres of it is usable because the rest of it is actually within the greenway. If that property is selected and the town wants to go forward, a full environmental impact study must be done. The county has to get involved. That's going to be very expensive, very time consuming. I think a sensible approach, or a more sensible approach, would be to utilize buildings and utility spaces we already have and to try to build out what we already have, as opposed to taking like open space that's really nice and everyone enjoys just as it is. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else who has not spoken yet? Okay. Ron? Yep.
Ron Emma, 32 Ladwood Drive. This is obviously going to be the next hot button issue about the location of the firehouse, so I would ask, I think it's been asked before, while you're discussing this at these meetings, can we please get these screens to work so we can see exactly where the locations you're discussing can be visibly on a screen, and we're not guessing how far it's from the brook, how far it's from the reserve. That seems like a very simple thing to me, that we can see where the architect's plan is. Okay, that's number one. Number two is, clearly there's going to be some opposition no matter where the firehouse is placed. That's just the nature of politics. And I would just say, we have the fire chief here tonight, I believe. What is the fire department's opinion about now? It seems to me Crawford's Corner is now gaining momentum. I believe in Dr. Carter's report and through Rocco's investigations, the Crawford's Corner was size constraint. Now, Mr. Patelli, you're now saying that there is plenty of land there to train and have a drive-through for the fire trucks. The fire chief is here. Can we get his opinion, what he thinks is the best location? Maybe not tonight, but going forward, and on the record, maybe he could explain. Because now to go back and say Crawford's Corner is probably the best location because we already own it, that to me is not the best solution, because it doesn't have enough space, in my opinion, but I'm not an expert in it. Clearly, we do need to do environmental impact wherever it goes, but I would just say, we are not Keensburg, we are Homedale. We have the opportunity to build a first-class facility that gives our firefighters the space, the facilities, and the room that they need and that they deserve. Third point, the fire truck has finally been purchased, or at least spec'd out and put a down payment on. Dr. Carter, now we know that that fire truck takes at least 12 months to build. Dr. Carter's report said we need at least 2 piece apparatuses. When do we start talking about the next piece of apparatus to be purchased? Thank you.
Your first question, the answer is yes. We will have them on the screens when we're ready, when we have that presentation and when we have that discussion. The answer to your second question, and I would never ask to put the fire chief on the spot, but what I can assure you is that we are in constant communication with the fire department, including the fire chief, and any site that we consider, we would get the input from the fire department. And 3, in terms of another fire truck, we'll be talking about that every single year as we go through the capital budget, and that will have to be part of our capital plan, which will be part of this year's capital plan.
And I think from a sizing perspective, we're going to have our professionals present to us and to the public at the same time and say why we can or can't use any site. And we are going to expand it as much as we can to include anything that's feasible according to what our professionals think makes most sense. And then they will tell us and you at the same time why we can't use a site or why we can use a site. I am not going to be the judge. I think the 4 of us up here tonight are really going to rely on our professionals to give us that guidance and help us to make sure we're making the right decision, the best decision for Homedale.
And those professionals are the firehouse, the town engineer, and who else?
Architect, engineer, yeah. Environment, absolutely, yep. Our administrator, as well as some of our police are very active in the fire as well. In fact, we have one that's fire trainer. So we're lucky to have some very knowledgeable people on staff that are going to be able to provide some guidance and direction and input for the process. So that's why we did not put fire on the agenda tonight, because we're not ready to have that discussion yet. Anybody else who hasn't spoken yet? Scott.
Scott Goldstein, 24 East Shore Drive. I just want to point out on the introduction of the ordinance regarding video recording and live streaming. I've been at this for almost over 3 years, and the way this is worded is a little bit restrictive. We have an appointed administrative judge coming about the BPU. I will be there to record that as well as other important township meetings that are important to the community. So with the way it's written here, it says township committee meetings, which would mean just this type of meeting. So you might just want to make it to township meetings so that you have more latitude and it's more consistent with what I actually been doing for the community for the last 3 years. Regarding one of the favorite subjects, I've been talking about this for the next 5 years, is fire safety for our community. This has been a passion of mine for 5 years. This is the first time in over 20 years that we are looking at building a new fire station, as well as addressing the issue of fire safety in the community. I would ask you to consider in hiring a person whose main responsibility is to deal with these issues. All our other successes that we've had on fire safety has been as a result of action that the committee has taken to hire a consultant to do this. So since we only do this once, and we only do this once every 20 years, I think we really should give some real thought to hiring the person whose main job is to handle these issues about fire safety for the community. I'm not talking about hiring a chief of fire protection. I'm talking about some type of, and again, I know it falls underneath the township administrator, but there's too many things going on here that needs to be coordinated at every meeting that we seem to be missing the mark. Was to put it simply, as nicely as I can. We've been at this for 5 years, and it's taking us way, way too long to address the most important issue to our community, which is our safety. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else in the book?
Okay, I just want to make a quick comment. Scott, your comment about the meeting ordinance is well taken. obviously the committee's discretion is principally over its own affairs and its meetings here, so it's simply adopting an ordinance that's going to provide and ask the administrator or the clerk to facilitate that live streaming. That doesn't mean that the committee can't use technology in other respects with other meetings. This simply involves the township committee meetings, and the comments well taken. I would just note with the BPU hearing that's coming up, that is not a township meeting. That's sanctioned by the State Office of Administrative Law, so we'd be subject, or anyone who's attending would be subject to their ground rules. The township's only role in that hearing is, one, providing a facility for it, and two, having its legal counsel present representing the township's position. But that's going to be a state meeting, so it wouldn't be on any township, it wouldn't be governed by any township ordinance.
Thank you. Any votes from the public? Jack?
Sitting here and listening, there's a lot of people that...
Let me get other people first, sir. Let me just get the gentleman. Thank you.
Jay, 18 Line Drive. Regardless of the location of the firehouse, are we consulting with that insurance industry group that rates the towns based on the location of the firehouse? Because as we discussed and we've seen in our bills, they've gone up notably in many cases because of that higher risk rating we have. So has that industry group been consulted? Will they be consulted? I think that should be definitely relevant in any decision. That's number one.
Keep going.
Yeah. Number two, Mr. Collins, with regard to New Jersey Natural Gas, a few weeks ago I suggested that because of all of us schleps that went to those dozens of meetings till 11 p.m. at night and know all the intricate knowledge of the case, we would hope to get in front of the town's outside counsel to be able to fully give all of the body of knowledge we require to them. So I would highly suggest that before the February meeting, before the BPU, they reach out to us. There's some key people, obviously, and maybe we can have a meeting if that's appropriate to share the knowledge we have. Mayor Bontempo, I want to compliment the Department of Public Works, which I've never really complimented before. We have some green acres on Ladwood Drive, and I've been here almost 20 years. I've never seen them cleaned up in the fall. I don't know if this is a new town-wide thing they're doing, but they actually cleaned up the sticks, blew the leaves across. We've never seen anything like that, so I would like to compliment them. That was very surprising. I know everyone in the area is very thrilled with that. As far as our new engineer, Bennett, I just have a question about Homedale Road. Is Homedale Road on the repaving agenda in the next 18 to 24 months? And maybe Sharon, you know that.
Keep going.
Okay.
We'll get it.
Because as I've mentioned before in the past, the lack of coordination with the development there where they paved half of one lane but didn't repave the other half of one lane is beyond comprehension that happened, and I hope that road can be repaired and we can actually pave a full lane next time. There should be never a situation in this town where we pave half a lane but not the other half of it. Homedale Road is an embarrassment to this town. And the final comment is potholes. Are the police, the Department of Public Works people, Homedale employees, are they empowered and strongly encouraged to report potholes? Because we already have some bombs out there right now which will damage rims and suspension. And I can't imagine on a rolling basis that township employees, whether they're police, anyone, you guys, I know we have the report app, and there's only so many things you report. I'm being zinged. But I would strongly encourage the township employees to be strongly encouraged to immediately report potholes. Thank you.
Commissioner, you want to touch on anything?
Sure, I'll offer the first response with respect to Mr. Yonell's question about New Jersey Natural Gas's representation. My recommendation would be if the citizenry has any comments, any observations from the past litigation before the zoning board, whatever comments you may have, to refer them to the township administrator. She'll take note of them and share them with the committee. It really wouldn't be proper for citizens to be speaking directly with the attorney, but if there is any information, she'll certainly provide it to me, and we'll provide it to the special counsel handling the case.
I'm curious, why isn't that proper?
the attorney should be obtaining and providing legal feedback directly with the client, which in this case is the township committee. Any discussions that he's having with other parties would not be privileged, and considering we're in active litigation with New Jersey Natural Gas, we really shouldn't have our attorney having conversations that could then be used against the township in another proceeding. So I think any citizen comments should go through the administrator, and we would certainly relay them to the attorney so that he has a full breadth of knowledge of the case.
And to that end, through you, Mayor, I would welcome, I'm happy to sit down with you, call my office, we can make an appointment, I'm happy to sit down with you and any other citizens that are more familiar with this than I. As everyone knows, I'm new here, so I welcome setting up a meeting.
Okay.
With regard to our fire rating, you can trust that we are taking into consideration our ISO rating. We understand that we got downgraded, which is really a higher number, and we do have, I believe, from the feedback I've gotten from the Township Committee, is we want to look at that. There's a very specific set of criteria on how they create that rating. There are multiple factors. Some have more impact than others. We are looking at all of those, and that will be part of the presentation when we do make recommendations for the fire. We can call for a new rating whenever we feel we're ready, but we haven't made those steps yet. So it would be, we don't think we'd get a change right now, but that is something that we are working toward. Thank you for the compliment. I will relay that to the Public Works Department. Holmdel Road is, I'm still new here, so bear with me. I don't know if that's a municipal road. I don't believe it is, so that's not in our.
It is a county road, okay. Well, can you pass on that feedback to the county?
I'm happy to do that, and I'll ask our Public Works Department to look into that and see if we can get an update of what that is.
Have you driven up, one axle's here sometimes, it's a joke. It's Holmdel Road. Okay,
and in terms of potholes, we do encourage every resident to please report it, and we will remind the staff to do that too.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public? Any public comment? Seeing none, I'll close public portion. Motions?
Mayor, I would recommend the motion to go into closed.
You're not giving me a minute?
Yeah, so let me get the attorney to speak for by our ordinance, everyone's allowed to speak once for 3 minutes. That's our ordinance. I'll allow it tonight because I'll take the assumption you did not know that.
I did not know that.
But I cannot do it because the reasons to give you get 3 minutes. You heard the timer go off on the gentleman before you.
I'll make it
I'm
quick.
going to speak for that. Let the attorney know, I'll bring you right up.
Okay.
I was just going to, I would recommend the comment go forward, and then I was going to discuss the executive.
Okay, sir. Just, again, please just state your name and address for the record.
Listen, Kate, a lot of people don't,
Say the mic, please.
people don't care for
Your
where
name and address,
locations
please.
are. Maybe
Excuse me?
Just do name and address first, just for the record.
Thomas Potts, 6 Alaco Drive.
Thank you.
You might consider maybe keeping the firehouse here, tearing it down and running it down, right straight down. You got a lot of land, you got some land here. I don't know if it's enough. And have a road for the township to come in off the Parkway Road where the garbage trucks are parked. They could still come in that way. You could take the land from here all the way down where you've got the police car wrecks and all that. You got a bit of land there, and maybe it'll save you some aggravation with the people in town wanting the firehouse, not here, not there. Maybe you might consider putting it over here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Attorney, anything?
Okay, if that's closed to the public comment, my recommendation would be for a motion to re-enter executive session for the reasons that were set forth on the executive session resolution. I would note for the public that the committee will not be returning to public session, so there won't be any further formal action taken. So the committee, with this vote, will be going into executive and then adjourning the meeting.
Move.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Fratelli?
Yes.
Mr. Santana?
Yes.
Ms. Weber?
Yes.
Mayor Bontempo?
Yes. Thank you.